Good evening, everyone. It is now 7 o'clock. I see for members online, we have Roz Shivik, John Meyer, Lindsay Joslin, and Sean Peterson. So we do have a quorum. People are still entering, so let's give it a couple minutes for everybody to get in. Okay, John, are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready to go.
Okay.
All right, first, welcome you all to the Tuesday, March 9th, 2021 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting and public hearing. First, I'd like to do the roll call. Well, I'll start. John Meyer.
Raj Shivik.
Roz.
Lindsay Joslin.
Sean Peterson.
Okay, looks like we've got.
Kathy is joining at the moment.
Okay, good. So it looks like we've got a quorum, so we'll proceed into the public hearing. And that is, first item is Z 2021-1984 of Northeast Real Estate LLC, requesting a text amendment to sections 9.34 and 9.35 permitted uses in the I-1 and I-2 zoning districts. Who do we have to speak for the applicant?
You're muted, Norm.
I apologize, I was muted. For the record, Mr. Chairman, Norm Tebow, Killingly Engineering Associates. I'm here representing the applicant this evening. As you said, we are proposing a text amendment to sections 9.34 for permitted uses in the I-1 industrial district and section 9.35 permitted uses in the I-2 industrial district. And the text amendment that we're proposing for section 9.34 would be item O, contractor's business. This would include but not be limited to building, electrical, plumbing, heating, masonry, and excavation contractors and similar uses, including ancillary offices, garages, outdoor storage, etc. That same language would be added to section 9.35 under item I, and exactly the same language as previously stated. We do feel as though this is a good use for the industrial districts. It certainly isn't a high intensity use. And it would be used for smaller contractors or even larger contractors if they decided to build their own independent building. These were uses, these contractors' storage and contractors' uses we had permitted previously in this zone back when Lou Sawyer was the planner in the town. He felt as though this fit in the zone, and I believe as long as it was an individual office with the contractor's business in it, he felt as though it could be permitted. However, this would include, obviously, if we had some buildings with multi-uses in it, where these different types of contractors could be in it. Once again, not a high intensity use of any type. Most likely these would be units where someone could set up office space, perhaps have a garage area to store some of their equipment or items that they use for their business, such as a plumbing contractor or an electrical contractor. Perhaps a space to park a vehicle or two. There's just really nothing in the regulations that allows these uses, and I know it's something that's would be needed and could be utilized in the town of Plainfield. That's about it.
Okay. So there wouldn't be any manufacturing or anything like that going on in these spaces?
No, and you know that use there is a separate special permit use for manufacturing in both of these zones. So these would be strictly for, you know, a contractor to, like I said, store some of their equipment, store some vehicles. You know, they may do some work on their vehicles or some minor work, they like changing the oil or something like that on their vehicles. But as far as actual manufacturing process, that's certainly not the intention of this text amendment.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant's representative?
I have a question. Now, would these be standalone units? I mean, on property, just a piece of property and they're standalone? They're not connected to the business of the contractor?
Well, yes, I mean, they could be. I mean, they could be, you know, rental units. If someone has, you know, say for instance, they had a commercial building with 4 to 5 spaces in it. You know, these spaces could be utilized for rental purposes. It could be a single contractor where he has his own building and his own property, and he does it. So, you know, we want to have that flexibility to allow that use for, you know, either an individual or multi-use on the property. That being said, I believe that the way that your regulations work and the way that they read, any individual that, if it's a multi-use, for instance, say you've got a building that can accommodate up to 4 contractors, I believe each of these contractors would have to obtain individual zoning permits in order to set up shop in these. It's not like you'd say, yeah, okay, here you are, here's your building, and you know, whoever wants to go in it can go in it. It's something that would have to be, a zoning permit would have to be applied for in order to utilize the space.
All right, thank you. That was my next question. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other comments? Any comments from the public on this? Ryan, your input?
Sure. So we do have a lot of contractors in town that have home occupations. They are not allowed to store commercial equipment on their property. So dump trucks, excavators, any larger equipment is not allowed to be stored on a residential property for a home occupation. So we do have a lot of contractors in town that need a place to go, and these storage units would offer that.
The only question I have is, it doesn't really, it addresses the contractor working and everything in the garages. Nowhere in here does it say fuel storage on site, so fuel storage will not be allowed, correct?
No, fuel storage will not be allowed. And that any kind of fuel storage, I believe in excess of 250 gallons anyway, is something that needs to be permitted on a state level. And I believe the fire marshal has to approve it as well. We do not anticipate fuel storage here. We're not proposing fuel storage. And, you know, if it's something that the commission feels as though needs to be amended in this so that there is no bulk fuel storage, then, you know, certainly we are happy to amend it in that regard.
Well, I'm just thinking back to a recent issue we had with residents and commercial trucks coming out of there, and they had fuel tanks on site. So perhaps something should be put in that no fuel should be associated with the business.
Sean, I'll speak to that. If the commission feels that they would like that, you can add that in there, as these will be your regulations. So on approval, if you choose to approve this, you can put that in there.
Mary Ann, any comments from you?
Nothing other than, I think it's a good idea that it be revised to include excluding bulk fuel storage, so that that's known and addressed before someone comes in.
You can modify that to be bulk storage of flammable liquids.
I think that's probably the right way to word that, Ryan. Yeah. We could just add a simple sentence at the end of it. The use does not include bulk storage of flammable liquids.
Any other comments? Do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries to close the public hearing. And we will take this up in our regular meeting. Okay, we will move to the regular meeting. First item up is, well, let me see. We already did the call to order. Any additions or corrections to the agenda, Ryan?
Yes, we do have one, Z 2021-2012 of Dustin and Kerry Everson requesting a special permit for a 40 by 60 garage with a motorhome bay on property located at 44 Valley View Road. And that would be item A under new business.
Motion to add that to the,
I'll make that motion to add that to the agenda.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we will add that. Any citizen participation, and this is for any issues unrelated to the items on the agenda that someone in the public wants to bring to the attention of the commission.
Excuse me, sir. Is this where the public gets a chance to speak?
Not on the public gets to speak in a general sense, not on specific items, which will come up in turn.
So if the item is on the agenda, then you must save it for that agenda item.
But if you
Okay.
have a general comment or some issue you would like to bring before the commission, this is the time to do it.
Okay, I think my comment is actually related to a specific item.
Okay, then we'll hear you when that comes up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, the first item of unfinished old business. Continuation of Exeter Group requesting a site plan review for proposed 202,044 plus or minus square foot warehouse with 644 parking spaces, access drives, parking lot utility connections, stormwater management system, site lighting and landscaping on property located at 137 Lathrop Road, Plainfield, map 18, block 13, lots 11 and 12, industrial 1 zoning district. And who is here to speak for the applicant?
Chairman, I'll get us started. My name is Tom Cody. I'm an attorney at the firm of Robinson and Cole. Our office is at 280 Trumbull Street in Hartford, and I am here representing the applicant, Exeter Property Group, for the continued meeting on the site plan application for 137 Lathrop. With me this evening are several members of our team, including Matt Robillard from BL Companies, Brad Griggs, and Michael Kelleher are with us from Amazon, and John Arndt is here for Exeter Property Group. So for this evening, what we thought we would do is really just turn your attention to several questions that have been asked of us, and the additional work that we've done to address those questions. So for that, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Matt Robillard, who will take you through those several items. Matt?
Thank you, Tom, and thank you to everybody here tonight. Appreciate you hearing us. And I also want to add that we do have also from BL Companies, Mike Dion, who's our traffic engineer. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to pull up a few of the things that have come up during our review. We have worked extensively with Mary Ann and Ryan Gray at the town, as well as working with Chuck Eaton, who is the town engineer. Some of the comments that were brought up at the previous meeting were in regards to was a request to add a sidewalk along Lathrop Road, which would be kind of in terms with what the plans for the future for the town has been. So the town has a plan to incorporate sidewalks along Lathrop Road, and we were asked if we would incorporate that. We have provided a plan, which I'm showing here, to include a 5-foot wide sidewalk with a 3-foot snow shelf along Lathrop Road, connecting to the property line, which will tie into the Big Y Plaza. The future plan for the town, as we understand it, is to include sidewalks on this side of the road. We worked, like I said, closely with Chuck Eaton and CHA, who represent the town, in order to coordinate these sidewalks. We are adding a curbed gutter. We are collecting that water. The water is then collected onto our property and treated in accordance with the stormwater management plan, which was presented to the commission last month. So I will reiterate, our stormwater is in compliance with Connecticut state guidelines. So I just want to bring your attention to this plan and show that we have added this sidewalk to the project at the request of the town and the commission. I will also like to add a little discussion previously during our last meeting. One of the comments regarding this property from CHA and the town were sightlines. So we worked closely with CHA, with Chuck, and the town to show evidence that the sightlines are adequate for entrances and exits. So as we've seen in the plans which were provided to the town, the southern entrance, which is primarily with some of the primary concerns, is shown to have the clear sight lines now. So where this area is wetlands, currently upland review area wetlands, will be cleared stump to the stump. The stumps will remain. We discussed with Ryan impacts of that, so that'll be handwork to create the proper clear lines of sight for safety. So I just want to reiterate, all lines of sight are complete. They are in compliance with traffic standards. We have plenty of sight line in order for vehicles to safely enter and exit the property, which was a concern at the previous meeting. And lastly, I am going to turn over to Mike Dion really quick to discuss a couple of the traffic comments that came up, and he can certainly elaborate on those.
Thank you, Matt. For the record, Mike Dion with BL Companies. Subsequent to the last meeting, CHA and Chuck Eaton had sent over a couple of comments or things they wanted us to look at. And one of them was that he requested a hourly distribution of traffic, which we did provide to him. And he also wanted us to take a quick look at the peak hour of the generator. So what that means is that the most traffic coming out of the site is happening between 9:30 to 10:30-ish in the morning. So what we did is we ran the analysis with those numbers. And since we didn't have traffic counts for those numbers or for those time periods, what we did is we ran that traffic with the peak hour traffic in the AM for Lathrop Road, which is the heaviest volume there. So it's actually ultra conservative, where we had the heaviest volume coming out of the site. along with the heaviest volume of roadway traffic. And we found that there was no change to level of service at any of the intersections along the road there. So we supplied that all to CHA and to the town in a supplemental traffic package for you. So hopefully you had a chance to review that. And I'll turn it back over to Matt.
Thank you, Mike. Yes, so those were the bulk of the comments. One other comment that was brought to our attention was because the intent is not to dissolve the property lines, we will prepare easement mapping for the drainage that crosses the property. So we will provide a maintenance easement that will be on file on land records for any drainage that crosses property lines. So that was a request of working with Chuck. We feel it's a fair request and it's a great idea to make sure that as we move forward with the property, we do not have any issues for future sale. If that ever does happen or any subdivisions at any point, the proper easements would be on the deeds. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions. As far as I'm aware, we have resolved the comments of CHA as well as the town between Ryan and Mary Ann. So thank you.
Any comments from the public?
John, this is not.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is Jason.
John,
This is not a public hearing, John.
Oh, sorry. Well, let me turn it over to you then, Ryan. Are you satisfied with the resolution of these comments?
Yes, so all of my comments have been addressed. If Chuck would like to jump in and speak to the engineering aspects.
Sure. For the record, Chuck Eaton, town engineer. Yeah, so we worked with Matt at BL and Mike at BL, and all of our comments have been addressed. I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission has regarding any of our previous comments or any questions they might have about the site. So the one thing I think the commission should consider is that the way Mike has the peak hour traffic volume set up and the way Amazon has proposed that they are working is that the peak traffic generation is going to be between 9:30 and 10:30 a.m. and between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m. So if those times change, the commission may wish the applicant to just come back and show that there's not going to be any impact to local traffic, because that is it is quite a traffic generator at those times.
Any other comments from staff?
I have none.
I'd just like to say, Mary Ann Chinati, Town Planner. I would just like to thank Exeter for partnering with the town on the sidewalks. And I agree with Chuck's comment about adding a condition to the plan, to the action, if the application's approved, that the applicant come back to the commission for review of any traffic changes for hours to ensure that it doesn't adversely impact the area.
Mr. Robillard, is that something you would agree to?
I would defer to Tom. I've told Cody, I believe that would not be an issue. I think that if that's what the commission requires, then we would agree to it. If that's what the commission is going to request of us, then so be it. But Tom, I would give you the final say on that.
Mr. Chair, this is Tom Cody again. I'd like to just ask, Michael Kelleher is with us this evening. And if Michael has any concerns with that condition, I'd just like to ask him to speak up. At this point, I don't think we would have any, but if you have any concerns with that condition, could you let us know? right now?
For Amazon, I don't think we have a major concern for that condition. The only thing I would like to make to ensure that you all are aware of is that during the holiday season, our traffic patterns do typically change between, say, mid-November to early January. You can imagine our packages, there's the higher volume of packages. And at that time, we will have some vans leaving earlier, but we can work with the town to ensure that that does not change. But our peak, as in the most amount of traffic, vans leaving is at that time period, if that's clear. And then again, that's during the holiday season, and those change daily based on the amount of people in the general area that are purchasing packages and have them delivered.
And so, Michael, you are saying that you would not object, Amazon would not object to the condition that if peak hours were to change, that we would return to the commission to discuss how that traffic would change to potentially impact local roadways.
And also, we also have Brad Griggs from Amazon who can also speak to that as well.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, members of the board, as long as it's understood that there may be some minor modification by a half hour or an hour earlier, or maybe extending in the afternoon on the van disbursements during peak. And again, it's during that mid-November to early January time period. The remainder of the year, we're operating on the hours as described herein.
So,
Can I-
so I think you've heard that we can agree to the condition that Mary Ann was suggesting and Chuck was suggesting.
Could I ask a question, please?
Okay, go ahead, Ron.
What kind of percentage would that increase be from November to January on the traffic? Do you have any idea? Would it increase by 10%, 15, 20? Anybody, somebody?
Mike Dion with BL Companies. That would vary every year. It depends. And what would typically happen is that the traffic still would not go into the AM peak, which is typically 7 to 9 a.m. What would happen is that, as Brad had said, is that you would add waves to the beginning. So instead of starting at 9:40 or so, they would start at 9:20, the vans would come out. And then instead of the traffic or the waves finishing at 11:20, they would finish at 11:40 instead. So typically there wouldn't be any traffic added to the peak hours. It'd just be adding waves to the beginning and the end.
So you're talking about a continual flow then?
Well, it's every 20 minutes or so that they leave. So there's breaks in there.
All right, thank you.
You are welcome.
Mr. Dion, I assume you took this period of time and during the year into your level of service calculations?
We did not, because when we say that they're adding time to the beginning or adding waves to the beginning and the end, that means your peak hour traffic isn't going to change because they can't physically add any more vans into that peak time period.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I got a question with the sight lines on the roads.
Absolutely.
You're gonna clear, you said you were gonna clear some of the vegetation back. Will there still be a decent vegetation buffer between the vehicles in the yard?
Absolutely. There is it's an over 70-foot vegetative buffer between vehicles in the yard. The vegetation that's being cleared is on an angle from the stop bar. So you're clearing out on an angle that allows for sight. So you're not clearing so that you'll be able to see right into the site. You have a tall, what exists vegetative buffer that's just being trimmed, but we're not losing the total vegetative buffer.
Okay. Any other comments from staff or from the commission members?
No.
Ryan, did you have conditions on this?
I do, and they are in my staff report. We can go over them during deliberation. Or I can go over them right now if you'd like.
That was good.
Okay. So for conditions of approval, I have engineering fees, which are to be determined to be paid prior to filing the Mylars. Mylars will be recorded in the town clerk's office prior to receiving a zoning permit. Additional permitting from the zoning officer will be needed for tenant signage, as the plans do not have enough detail. And just for the commission's knowledge, this is not needed for the site plan approval. Drainage easements must be filed in the land records prior to obtaining a zoning permit if the lots are not merged, which I don't believe they are intended to be merged, so those would have to be filed. The stormwater system operations and maintenance plan must be added to the Mylars for recording. Approval from the Office of the State Traffic Authority is needed before receiving a zoning permit, and ASTA cannot grant approval until after the town grants approval. But there has been communication between the applicant and ASTA, and things are moving forward with that. Roadway encroachment on Lathrop Road is to be deeded to the town prior to receiving the zoning permit. And what that is, when the dog track was constructed, the road was widened, and I think the dog track might have actually been responsible for widening the road, and it encroached onto their property. That area was never deeded to the town, so that will be deeded to the town. And finally, if the peak traffic hours change, the applicant will come back to the commission for approval or review and approval.
Mr. Chairman, would you like a motion on this?
Yes, I would like a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Z 2020-1904 of Exeter Group with the conditions that Mr. Bray just recited.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion is approved.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate the commission's time and attention to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Continuation of, this is, well, actually, let me read the number out. Z 2020-1932, continuation of, hard time pronouncing that. Forgive me if I mispronounce it. Digvijay Bansal, requesting a site plan review for addition to building to accommodate a convenience store sales in addition to pizza restaurant on property located at 66 Warregan Road, Warregan, map 1W, block 113C, lot 67, RA 19 zoning district. Do we have someone here to speak for the?
Yes, I'm here. I submitted the drawing with all the changes need to be done in that.
Yep, give me 1 second. There we go. Go ahead, you have the floor.
Yeah, I had whatever Ryan asked me to do, I speak with my surveyor and we put all the things in that one, all the service lines and some graphy. I don't know the technical name of that. And this drain system whatever the engineer requested. We did everything there. And just today, my surveyor called me that there's some issue with my parking spots. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll go over that. So, per the engineer's request, there is a 16-foot infiltrator right here. This is to collect the roof water from the new addition, so that the water is not going out into the road. Now, this site requires 4 parking spaces and a handicap parking space, which is shown here for the handicap. Here is the second space, a normal space, a third space in front of the building, and a fourth space here over the infiltrator, which will require paving. The issues that we are dealing with is this is not a good layout from an engineering aspect. If you were in this parking space and you needed to back out, you'd have to back into this parking space. In this parking space, it'd be difficult to actually turn because of the wall here. So these spots will likely be backing out into the road. This spot right here would have to back up into space 3, which is not ideal. It doesn't really work. And the other problem is adding asphalt here would shed more water down into the state road, which is not permitted. You'd have to design some sort of a basin or something to collect the water, which really is impossible. Plus, the way this is designed, it also encroaches on the neighboring property here. So I did speak with the surveyor today. I tried speaking with him yesterday, but I wasn't able to get a hold of him. What we came up with is a different design. Currently, all the spaces are right in this area on an angled parking. And there are 4 spaces that will be left after this addition is put on. There's currently 5, but all they need is 4. So the proposal is to put it back to the original plan, keep the 4 spaces over in this area. This space down here would be striped for handicap spacing. And then this area right here would be striped for no parking. And that is so that the spaces in this area backing up can back into this area over here. So that is what we came up with for the surveyor, and the changes will be made for the next meeting.
Can we approve in this meeting with this stipulation that I will move the parking spot here? Because the bank is pushing me, my business is closed. I quit from the 309 Putnam Road. My plan was to bring that business here. And it's almost 6-7 months now. And the bank is giving me hard time. I need to reopen the store ASAP. If you can approve this with this condition that I have to move the parking like that way, we will definitely do that. And within few days, I will submit the new drawings also. But if it's delayed by 1 month, then everything is going to be delayed more than that. That's my humble request, if you guys can consider this.
I don't know, that's kind of a big change. Marianne, could you weigh in on this?
I wouldn't advise taking any action tonight until a revised plan is provided that shows the parking revisions. Excuse me. The zoning officer and the town's engineer have asked for this multiple times, and we're still waiting for it. And I don't think the commission should approve with that condition.
No, I just, this parking things came just yesterday.
Right, so I'll clarify that. So this plan that we're looking at was submitted yesterday and reviewed, and that is where it's determined that this layout was not going to work. So the request to revise the parking was just submitted today to the engineer.
This is Chuck Eaton, the town engineer. I just, one other quick comment as far as drainage. I spoke with the applicant's engineer some time ago, and he was going to add some overflow drainage where the roof gutters go down into the ground which would then flow into the infiltration chambers, and that would just provide some overflow at the ground level so that, in larger storms, when the infiltrator was full, it would allow the system to be able to overflow a little bit, not back up the stormwater into the roof gutters and cause building damage.
All right, so that would have to be added on the plan as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't.
And that's really more of a suggestion, but I think that's a wise thing for the applicant to do to protect his building.
Okay, we will do that one because he did all the soil test and everything was fine. The soil was not wet or there is no water and it absorbed all the water, whatever they did the test.
Yes. Yep. That's all set.
And,
And the final, I forgot the final thing. The surveyor told me today that the test hole was dug in this area. That has to be added to the plan as well. So we have to.
The location.
Yes.
Right. Yep.
The location of the test pit.
no, that we need to show in this drawing also.
Yeah, which he said
Okay.
it is right in this area here.
Yes.
But he needs to put that on the plan.
Okay.
So if we have all these changes made and they get submitted with enough time for you folks to review this, then next meeting, we should be good to go if everything is done.
Yes.
I think, given the fact that I would much prefer to approve an actual complete plan, I would entertain a motion that we continue this to the next meeting, and which time we should have complete plans in front of us.
Okay.
Make the motion to continue this to the next meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next item. Z 2021-1963. Continuation of Northeast Real Estate requesting site plan approval for contractor buildings, 11,840 square feet and 2,400 square feet at 135 to 141 Ward Avenue, Moosup, Assessors Map 2M, Block 94C, Lot 11.
And this can be continued to next month as we are waiting on revised plans.
Motion to continue.
I'll make a motion to continue.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion is approved. On to the next item. Z 2021-1964. Continuation of Northeast Real Estate requesting site plan approval of a 33,360 square foot addition to a truck repair facility located at 108 to 114 Commercial Drive, Plainfield. Assessors Map 5, Block 4, Lot 41C.
And again, we are waiting on revised plans, so this can be continued.
Can I
I'll make a motion to continue.
I'll
Second.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll continue this till next month. Next item. Z 2021-1965. Continuation of affordable lock and stock, requesting site plan approval to construct storage units at 97 Ward Avenue, Moosup, Assessors Map 2M, Block 94C, Lot 6.
Once again, waiting on revised plans.
I'll make a motion to continue.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, next item. Z 2021-1979, continuation of Carl Kemp, requesting a site plan approval for storage buildings on property located at 144 to 146 Norwich Road, Central Village, Map 15, Block 72, Lot 41, Commercial Zoning District.
And I see Carl Kemp is here. He might want to speak. However, we are still waiting on wetlands approval for this. But if Carl would like to say something, he can do so now.
Hi, Ryan. No, I guess I'm I'm okay. Greg Fettis, the site engineer, is available if we needed anything specific, but I guess we don't.
So,
It's wetlands next week.
right, next week is wetlands. If approved in wetlands, then next month, the commission, Planning and Zoning Commission would have the ability to act.
Okay, okay. Thanks, Ryan.
All right, since we can't go forward with this without the wetlands, appreciate a motion to continue.
I'll make a motion to continue.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And Z 2021-1984 Northeast Real Estate LLC requesting a text amendment for sections 9.34 and 9.35 permitted uses in the I-1 and I-2 zoning districts. And this will require a public hearing.
We already did that today.
Oh, we did.
So this is time for deliberation.
Well then, let's deliberate.
I don't see a problem with it. It seems like it makes sense.
Yeah.
Does the staff have anything else to add?
No, I think that it fits in that zone, and this is allowed currently in the commercial zone, but for certain types of businesses, I think it works better in the industrial zone. So businesses that have industrial equipment, tractor trailers or dump trucks, things of that nature, I think it fits better in the industrial zone than it would in the commercial zone.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ryan. It seems, again, like it's something that is definitely needed in town, given, some of the issues we've had with folks storing equipment on, residential properties. This would afford an alternative to that.
So would you like a motion?
Yeah, and of course, we did discuss the prohibition of bulk fuel or flammable storage, so.
Correct. I'd like to make a motion to approve with the language as written, with the addition of excluding bulk storage of flammable liquids.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. All right, new business. Z 2021-2012, Dustin and Carrie Everson requesting a special permit for a 40 by 60 garage with a motorhome bay at 44 Valley View Road, Assessors Map 35, Block 118, Lot 8A.
Okay, so this is a special permit. It does require a public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Before,
Go ahead. Sorry.
before we get into this one, could I ask the commission please to revisit the text amendment? No effective date of the amendment was included in the motion.
I'm sorry.
I recommend April 1st.
Yes, how would you like me to rephrase that? Recite the whole thing or just add it in?
Oh, you can just state the effective date now.
Amendment.
I'd like to amend my motion and add the effective date of May 1st, 2021.
April 1st.
I'm sorry, April 1st, 2020.
Okay, we have an amended motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
The amended motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, back to this public hearing for C 2021-2012. Do I have a motion for this?
So moved.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll schedule that for next month. And that brings us to review and act on minutes from the 2/9/21 regular meeting, which I was not present, so I cannot participate in that.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, this is Chuck Eaton, the town engineer. Are you guys all set with me? I don't think you need me for minutes and that sort of thing.
I think we are.
Okay. All right. You guys have a good night.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thanks for your
Chuck.
help.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. So let's go back to the minutes of the last meeting. Any changes or additions?
I can make a motion to approve.
Sorry, Sean, I didn't hear that.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's
I
one.
have to abstain. I wasn't here.
Oh. Sean, did you vote on that? I didn't hear it.
Yes, aye.
Thank you. Okay, on to correspondence. What do we have?
I did not see anything come in. Marianne, did you see any?
I have nothing.
Any other matters?
Nope.
Ryan, your zoning enforcement report?
Okay. I apologize. I was not able to get a report together, but I am now more mobile. I have been getting out to do inspections. We have been out to the sheds, the Sawyer Sheds place over on Norwich Road. Performed another inspection, did not see any improvement. Gave 2 weeks to start making progress. That is next Monday. After speaking with the first selectman today, we're probably going to be moving to court after this because I don't think there's going to be any action from the property owner or the tenant. So we'll probably be moving to court on that very soon. Still working on the 211 Lathrop Road, 211 Kate Downing Road. I have the final pictures for that and putting together the packet for the attorney. That's just about ready to go. I have not gotten to anything else. We did have one new violation come in. It was not issued as a violation. The concrete floors building in the iPark has been inadvertently using town property behind and to the side of their property. It's actually the sewer line. The town put a road through, graded it off, and I don't think they were aware that it was off their property. But they were storing a bunch of material and vehicles and equipment on there. We asked them to stop and they immediately responded that they'll be removing everything from the property. So it doesn't look like we'll have to issue any violations for that. And that's all I have to report on tonight.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Mary Ann?
Just in addition to my written report, I'd like to remind members, I emailed you earlier that in-person meetings will now be resuming for April going forward. So next month's meeting will be in person in the auditorium. Masks will be required. Social distancing will be available and hand sanitizer will also be available.
Okay, thank you. Those are the protocols for that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Well, we have one more item on the agenda. That is adjournment.
So moved.
I
I'll
know.
second it.
Well, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Well, thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Good job.
Have a good night, and we'll see you next month.
Okay, in person, actually. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.